Hi, what's your name?
Michelle.
Do you have any like theories yourself as to like what happens after life?
I think because I grew up in a very religious household, I grew up as a Christian. I believe that after you die, you go to heaven or hell. I also believe in the afterlife, and maybe the fact that you could have a second life, whether as a human, as an animal, or whatever it may be. I would really love to be either a tigress or a giraffe.
I think those are good choices. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
How's it going?
Good.
Going all right, thank you.
Awesome. And what are your names?
I'm Alyssa.
I'm Kiona.
Do you guys have any like experiences or any like, theories as to what happens after life?
I believe in ghosts. So after life, I think people like spirits definitely do live on. I actually have a ghost story that happened to my mom when she was living in Illinois she lived in this small town, and basically she had this cat, and one time she was sleeping and she woke up because she felt her cat pounce on her. And then I guess it's about an animal, but she yelled to her mom in the other room, was like, "Mom, like, where's the cat?" Because she woke up and it wasn't there. And she's like, "Oh, it's in the other room." But it was like there was nothing there, but she definitely felt something jump on her. So I definitely think that there is something to spirits. I think it was definitely haunted, but my mom said that her and her sister would play with Ouija boards like all the time when she was little, but never say goodbye, like never say thank you. Yeah. So I think there's something to that.
I mean, I was raised Christian, so like you go to heaven. But on the contrary, if we're talking about like pissing someone off before you die, or like if you die in a really horrible way, like you didn't finish your taxes on time, then ghosts probably most definitely do exist. Because I mean, it just seems like they would still want to be here to piss off the individual. I think spirits would kind of still remain here. Unfinished business. In my family, we grew up thinking like Harry Potter was the devil. So, maybe my family members know something I don't about spirits. It's the magic. It's the witchcraft of it all. I mean, he has a wand, He's hardly handsome and he can do all these great things. It's not realistic. And for that, I think it creates great suspicion. I'm a realist, and I'm not into that witchcraft stuff.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. And we're rolling. What is your name?
My name is Annika. I'm from Pasadena, California.
So, Annika, what do you think happens after life?
I grew up Catholic, so I believe in purgatory, heaven, and hell. And I think if you do good deeds and show kindness, you'll go to heaven. And if not, you'll go somewhere else. I also believe in reincarnation. I do think people can come back as other things, like animals or other people.
Do you believe in ghosts?
I do believe in ghosts, yeah. I've heard there's actually ghosts on campus here at LMU.
I want to know about that.
My cousin goes here and she lives in Rains Hall, and I've heard a few ghost stories that you can hear a ghost on campus in there.
What is your name?
I'm Amani.
Amani, nice to meet you. I'm Chavi. We're just asking people like what their thoughts are on like what happens after life.
I took philosophy this semester. I got into the idea of reincarnation a lot. Plato brings up like this theory of recollection. And for me, it kind of did resonate a little bit because I do feel like there's some stuff that you know inherently from birth, like how to walk. No one can articulate to you how to walk. You just kind of eventually like grow into it as you're like guided along. And for that reason, I kind of, after reading that for class, I looked into reincarnation. So I kind of think I'm leaning towards reincarnation, but I like to think that there is like some sort of preservation of the soul after death, or like, some sort of preservation of your life, like what you did during your life after death. I'm not really quite sure like what exactly it is yet. I always say like I probably was reincarnated, like I was a cat in my past life, like honestly.
Personally, do you have any like experiences like with like any paranormal beings, or like maybe do you know if like you have like family members or like people like that have had any some sort of like interesting stories or experiences?
I mean, my grandma, she was a little bit bizarre, so she used to say like she could hear voices like talking to her at night in her house, and the house is very old. So like no one ever was like, no, she's totally wrong. But that's pretty much the only experience that I've had with it. And that was like me at a young age, like hearing her say this like at the dinner table when I'm like 6, and I'm like, okay, like this is something.
Well, thanks, Amani. I really appreciate your time.
I'm Aiden.
Nice to meet you, Aiden. I'm Chavi. What do you think happens after life?
After life is when you truly live. We live in a world where you're fearful of death, fearful of what is to come. But I think when life is over, there's nothing left to fear. So that's when you can truly live the life you dreamed of, I guess. I actually do believe that there are spirits because, I believe everybody has a guardian angel, somebody who watches over them. And the things that happen in life or the things that go on, I don't think we would be able to be here if we didn't have some form of external protection. And I do think that's a way of God watching over me is the things that I do in my everyday life. I think somebody is out there watching over me. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm Skyler.
I'm Maya.
What do you guys think, if you have any theories as to what happens after life?
I mean, I was raised Catholic and then kind of just had the agency to choose for myself if I wanted to continue and go back for confirmation when I got older or continue catechism. I decided not to, so I'm actually not really religious at all. I have this weird limbo belief that I do think that there's an afterlife. I do think we're all going to end up somewhere, and I think we're going to end up in our happiest form and our happiest place, because I really don't believe that there's just nothing. I don't believe that. I really don't. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it ties to religion at all for me. I hope it's something nice, not dark or just nothing, I feel maybe it's just our soul. I think it's all internal. I don't think it's my body, I don't think it's just me. I just hope it's in our happiest form and the happiest place that we have experienced in this lifetime.
That was a beautiful answer.
Well, I grew up Buddhist when I was little, and we would do prayer at temple and stuff. It's all about giving merits to people who have passed away to help them achieve nirvana and get them to a higher place and reincarnation into new beings and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to believe it. I really don't know. Yeah, I believe in ghosts. I think that ghosts are real. I mean, there's also this thing of in Buddhism, when someone dies, they're with you for 3 months, and then after 3 months they leave. So I feel I've experienced that with people in my life.
What is your name?
Melody.
All right, Melody, what do you think happens after life?
Honestly, when I think about it, what makes most sense for me and what I think about the most is reincarnation and how spirits do recycle after life. We just know instinctually what happens when we come into the world, which just makes me think that we've been here before. It's just logic and reason, honestly, for me when I think about afterlife, not religion. Just a personal thought.
That's great. Yeah, do you have any examples of certain things you said we know coming into life?
Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but just those little stories of people that have mentioned life, their past life, and there is facts behind it, they a child knowing facts about something 20 years ago, something like that. Just little things have made me think about that. There was a young girl in, I believe, India, and she said this whole story of what her name was and where she was from, and they looked it up and they found out there was a older woman or man that passed away 20 years before that by the same name and the location she was discussing. So I just thought that was really interesting.
I'm Charlie.
I was just wondering if you had any theories or thoughts as to what happens after life as we know it.
I'm not really sure. I'm not very religious, so I'm not really sure what I believe in terms of a heaven or a hell. But I think what makes the most sense to me is the reincarnation, because I don't think it makes sense for there just to be nothing after we pass. So I really like the thought that we will have another life just outside of this one. And that's something I hold on to. I definitely believe in ghosts. Our soul floating around in some sort of way. I don't know if it's an actual being a transparent white sheet over the head type thing, but I definitely think that the people who have left us are definitely still around in some way, and make their presence known from time to time, as I think is pretty well documented. So yeah, I definitely believe in ghosts.